Hi, this is Julie Beischel, Director of Research at the Windbridge Research Center, and I'm here with Mark Boccuzzi, the Executive Director of the Center, and we're recording the final session of the 2021 Windbridge Research Center Afterlife Symposium.
Excellent.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Julie. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Busy. It's been a busy symposium. It's been very exciting.
So, Mark, what made you want to do an Afterlife Symposium?
Well, that's a really good question. The mission of the Windbridge Research Center is to alleviate suffering around dying, death, and what comes next. And we do that through two main channels. One is through high-quality, world-class, peer-reviewed scientific research, and then taking the results of that research and making them available as free, open source or open access educational materials. And we've been doing that traditionally through fact sheets and short videos and our website, windbridge.org, where we have a collection of all these various materials. As I was thinking about our educational mission, I was thinking maybe we could do something a little bit bigger. We could bring together various experts that we have access to from our scientific advisory board, look at some of our current research, bring in people from our clinical advisory boards, and even some of the journalists and experiencers and mediums that we work with, and try to get together or put together a variety of different voices and opinions and ideas and package them all together into a single event. And this was kind of the first time we'd ever done anything of this scale. Like I said, we usually do these small little educational pieces, but the idea is to do small things that are easily digestible and do a lot of them as much as we can. So this was the first time we really tried to package something together that was a little larger. And I think it worked out really well. And I'm hoping that we can apply this format in the future as well, but open it up to additional researchers that aren't directly involved with the work of the Windbridge Research Center. So I'm very pleased with it.
You talked about the Windbridge Research Center does research and education. Those are the two arms. In providing free educational materials, we often try and serve four different populations. So the general public, people that are just interested in afterlife and related topics, clinicians, mental health professionals and medical professionals, practitioners, we call them, so mediums and psychics, and then scientists, researchers, philosophers. So how does an afterlife symposium serve those four populations?
So we worked really hard when we put this program together to try to bring voices from each of those populations into this conversation. And so, for example, with researchers, we focus on, as I said earlier, creating and producing high-quality, world-class peer-reviewed research. And then we publish those findings in peer-reviewed journals, and we present at scientific conferences. And so by making those papers available and those findings available in the language of scientists in formats that scientists can have access to, I feel like that's how we primarily serve that audience. The same kind of goes for clinicians. A lot of times what we'll try to do is take the peer-reviewed information that we have from our scientific research and then tweak the language and bring in a clinician or work with clinicians to customize the messages or the findings from that research in a way that clinicians can actually apply in their practices. As for practitioners, the research and the clinical pieces work together to normalize these phenomena to people on the street, which can help the practitioners themselves understand their own practices and how going on behind the scenes from a scientific perspective in their own practices, but also can help normalize what they do. Because they have tools available to them. So when they are the focus of derision, they have a body of research and knowledge available to them that they can use to support their abilities. And finally, for the general public, we work really hard to take all of our findings and, again, put them in the forms of fact sheets and short videos that are easily accessible online and through our website. And we try to build those in a way that don't include a lot of the clinical or scientific jargon. So it's very straightforward, and we try to make those materials in small little bite-sized pieces that people can use and either bring with them when they want to talk to their families about specific experiences that they've had, or they can even bring them if they're in some sort of clinical setting. So we really work hard to try to customize our content the best way we can to serve these various audiences. And it's a big push and motivator for what we do.
And you had talked about we try and eliminate scientific jargon so that people who aren't scientists can make meaning of our research and our findings. And I think the other thing that we try to do is pull out the new agey sort of jargon, or the things that if people don't have that particular worldview, it's just straight, this is what we found. It doesn't imply any greater reality, or that's not a part of it.
Yeah, we do try to keep away from... this is difficult because these topics are so ingrained with tradition and personal belief and culture and religion that whenever you start talking about things like the afterlife or death or dying or any of those processes, this stuff is so intertwined with culture and history that it can make it really difficult to talk about these things in a neutral manner without being offensive, but you don't want to pick up some worldview without recognizing all worldviews. So it's a tough space for us to navigate, I think. And I think we do it well in some cases. I don't know that we're perfect at it. We're always trying to be better. We get feedback from people that tell us that, sometimes we're doing things really, really well. Other times people are like, you need to incorporate more of these stories and more of these other sort of personal experiences into your programs. And we're trying to do that. We have one project in particular called Audrey's Project, which is currently collecting stories of people's after-death communication experiences. We're bringing in artists, and we're trying to create art pieces based on those stories to make them more accessible. So there's projects like that we're doing, but yeah, it's a tough line. It's a hard line for us to walk. It's something we think about all the time when we put our materials together.
And in general, what are some of the other challenges that the center faces?
There's a number of them. Honestly, not to sound too crass, but the biggest one is funding. Unlike other areas of research, the big funding agencies in the United States don't really support proof and process-focused research on mediums and mediumship and afterlife topics.
You said they don't really, but they don't at all.
Yeah, that's...
Let's be clear.
Okay. I was trying to be kind, but you're correct. That's
Don't sugarcoat it.
Okay. So yeah, there's no funding. So for example, the National Institutes of Health are not going to write us a grant to study how mediumship works from a non-local consciousness perspective. That's probably not going to get funded.
So how do we run our center?
Well, we have to rely on a lot of donations from individuals, and we're very fortunate that we do have a group of people that do regularly donate. There are a few organizations in the world that do support this work, support the research, and I'm not trying to sound disparaging at all, and we really are grateful. Actually, if you look at the amounts of money that they fund versus other organizations like National Institutes of Health or National Science Foundation, it's a small fraction. These budgets are a very small fraction of what other areas of science are funded at the level that they're funded. And so when we bump into these funding limitations, we're limited on the types of studies we can run, the size of studies we can run, also attracting talent. So researchers are people, and they need to get paid, and they have rents to pay, and dogs to feed, and all that stuff. And there are lots of people out there that are really, really smart and really, really talented that I know would love to be able to work in this field, but I can't pay them a competitive wage. I can't get them to leave their research positions or their university positions to come work for us on little to no money and no benefits. So funding is always a limiting factor. Another limitation is that the media doesn't often give these topics fair and balanced reporting. The news agencies are always looking for something sensational, and often in the popular media, a lot of these phenomena like parapsychology or mediums or mediumship or psychics are exaggerated, and
some of the times it's just flat out lies. Like, do you remember that time that I did the interview and I talked about our quintuple blind protocol, which is blinding in experiments is just a way that certain pieces of information are kept from certain people in the experiment. People may have heard of double blind clinical trials, like when they do a drug test, the doctor is blind to whether or not you have the placebo or the pill, and you are blind. So our protocol is quintuple blind. So in an interview, I was talking about this quintuple blind protocol, and a journalist wrote about it and said, and this protocol, and I'm not kidding, they wear blindfolds. And so it's just flat out nonsense. And then a different one cited our work and cited a specific page on our website and said, and most of their research, the findings are inconclusive. And on that page are a couple dozen studies, and only one of them had inconclusive results.
So one of the other challenges also is, at the end of the day, most people just don't want to talk about death. Death is looked upon as a failure, and we spend a lot of time in our culture trying to block the idea of death out of our consciousness. But really, it's this fear of death, it's this anxiety around death, which drives a lot of our motivations.
We quote Larry Dossey often as saying that fear of death has caused more suffering than all the physical diseases combined.
Right. So if we can work to alleviate death anxiety and fear of death, I personally believe that we could end up with a more compassionate world.
What do you hope people take away from the Afterlife Symposium, and what should they do now?
We provided a range of material during this symposium, and I'm hoping that people will be able to find their niche within that content. So I think there's a little bit in here for everyone. I'm hoping people will be able to either listen to all the material or find the pieces that resonate best with them and then focus in on those particular lectures or presentations or talks. And as for next steps, share this stuff. If you found something that really resonated with you in any of these presentations, I'm hoping that you'll share them with your friends, your families, your colleagues, whoever, people that you think might be interested in these topics, to show, hey, there's work being done here, and it's worth knowing about, and ideally it's worth supporting. The only way we can continue to provide all of our educational materials for free is through support. If we want to continue to push the center forward and grow the center and create new materials and create new knowledge and normalize these phenomena and educate people about these phenomena, we need support to do that.
And exactly how can people provide support?
Well, you can always go to our website, windbridge.org/donate, and there's a donate page there where people can make a donation online. And you can either make a one-time donation, or if it's easier, you can make a small monthly donation, which is really great. Yep. So
great. This was really interesting, Mark. I hope people really get a good sense of what the center does and our philosophy and our mission.
And with that, we are going to officially close the Windbridge Research Center's 2021 Afterlife Symposium. I want to thank everyone that supported this work. I want to thank everyone that took their time to speak with us and let us record them and be part of this event. I want to thank David Medcalf specifically. He put together our graphics for this event. It was really helpful. and everyone else that helped us make this happen. And we hope to do it again next year. So thanks.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, bye.
Bye.